V1. Rotate.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to our Christmas operations here in Leeds, Bradford. It really doesn't feel like winter yet with the lack of snow and this thunderstorm overhead, but I'm sure we'll get to see some more seasonal conditions where we're going. I had wanted to make this whole trip into one episode, but there ended up just being too much footage, and I didn't want to put out a 2-hour video. In the last episode, we ferried this Airbus 321 from Manchester up here to Leeds. Now the aircraft is being prepped for the 3-ish hour flight up to the official Santa Claus Airport in the north of Finland. A bit about our destination. Rovaniemi is in the Finnish province of Lapland. It's got a population of about 60,000 citizens, and most of the year it's a pretty normal town, with 2 universities, government offices, local newspapers, and small businesses. The story goes that around 100 years ago, a passerby started spreading the rumor about Ear Mountain, Covententuri. That's where Santa was rumored to have set up shop, as Covententuri has 3 large ears pointed on its summit. These ears function a little bit like satellites, triangulating and sucking all the dreams and wishes of adults and children alike into the mountain. Apparently, a secret office lies deep within the mountain for processing these dreams and wishes. This is the place where the elves receive the transmissions and forward them on to Santa Claus. Word started to spread over the years, and more tourists started to flock to the quiet town every winter, almost 500,000 in 2013. So, as the aircraft gets fueled and the caterers load up the milk and cookies, I had enough time to jump into the operations office and start planning our flight to Rovaniemi. Alright, just before we start loading up the Elves and the cargo, not in the same compartment, we will take another quick look at the weather. So wind's still out of the southwest, 230, so it's basically on runway 14, it's a 90-degree crosswind, of course. The QNH has changed slightly to 1014, the temperature's 7, dew point is 5, still good visibility, but we still have thunderstorms around Leeds. If we look at the flight dispatch page, our flight this time will be taking us out of Leeds and then to the north, over the North Sea, into Norway, across Sweden, and up into Finland, where we will be descending into Rovaniemi up here. Our call sign now is 820 Bravo, the flight number is 8201, it's an ad hoc flight. European, it's 1,176 nautical miles, should take about 3 hours and 15 minutes. We have 4 hours of fuel on board, and our alternate is a place called Kittilä, which I don't know where it is, but we'll just plug it into the ND, and that'll be that. What else? That's pretty much it for that. We'll take a quick check at the charts. So we're still on stand number 8, planning departure off runway 14, just because our first waypoint is Pole Hill. So the departure off of runway 14 goes straight to Pole Hill, and it's a 90-degree crosswind either way. Probably should be 32 or westerly runway if there's no preference or if there's no wind advantage to either. But there's nobody around, and unless ATC tells me otherwise, we'll just check the traffic quickly and we'll depart off runway 14. So it'll be a pushback with the nose left, taxi up on Alpha, we'll hold short here, announce our intentions, then backtrack. If we look at the aerodrome chart, which I hadn't pulled up, we'll zoom in here a little bit. So we're going to go on to Alpha and then hold short, announce our intentions, then backtrack to position. We are extremely heavy now, so quite the opposite of when we came into Leeds. We have 218 Elves and pretty much a full load of cargo, or almost, plus the fuel, so we're approaching max takeoff weight. So we'll backtrack Echo 2, onto Echo, hold Echo 1 more time, the intentions, and we'll take as much runway as we possibly can to fire it off on runway 14. After the departure, it's the Pole Hill 2 X-ray departure, which is basically straight out to 2 DME, then a sweeping right. We'll intercept the radial for Pole Hill, up to flight level 70, the transition 5, and then from there on course. I'll put the route up in the flight deck once we get to that. So everyone is getting seated back there. In the meantime, we can set up the MCP quickly. We'll just put that into managed. We want 7 grand on the altitude, like so, managed as well. Okay, that's set up. We do have a company route. I'll be putting the route, as always, down here at the bottom of the screen. So we're going from Leeds, Bradford to Rovaniemi. Not in database. Wonderful. Did I not save that? Hang on. EGNMERFO01. Okay. Stand by. Turns out I'm a little slow. It's not ERFO, it's EFRO. I should probably know the ICAO for the airport we're going to, but hey ho. There we go. That goes in. Everything loads up. Give it a second. Maybe. No? Nothing? Stand by. So our cruise altitude is 370. I'll just show you quickly the loads that we're dealing with. We have 218 passengers on board, 10 tons of cargo, and 12 tons of fuel for a takeoff weight of 86.63 tons. So we are quite heavy. This time I'll run the checklists and we'll try not to skip anything, so we have that all the way through the flight. Didn't really bother me on the other flight because it was so short. Block fuel is 12. What did I say it was? I already forgot. Memory of a goldfish. Load fuel. We had 12. 12 tons. Not 120. 12 tons of fuel. By the way, quick little trick. If you are putting in airways into the FMC or FMS or whatever. That's why. P5. You don't actually have to put the 2s. As long as it's from an airway to another airway and there's an intersection in between, you can just fill in the airways and it'll automatically populate the end waypoints. Okay, that took longer than I wanted it to, so we are doing a config 2 departure. No flex, we're using basically full power. Thrust reduction 21, and then we will do 3681.
Emergency equipment is checked. Checklist complete.
Alright, now that that's done, we'll finish loading up the passengers and get ready for the pushback. We'll turn on the beacon light. We're about ready for the pushback.
Captain, the cabin is secure. All passengers are aboard.
And get rid of some of the ground services.
Okay, let's do the before start checklist. Windows and doors closed and locked. APU. APU on. APU bleed on. External power disconnected and off. Cabin signs. Set on. Thrust levers idle. Parking brake on. Barrow reference checked. 1014. 1014. Check beacon lights on. Checklist complete.
And here we go. Once again, we'll wait till we get a little bit further back from the gate area.
And set parking brakes, please.
Starting engine 1.
Did I mention it's really nice to be back in
Engine 2
Leeds with
stabilized.
the really lazy ground cruise?
Unlocking
Yeah.
gear.
Yeah. Thanks for the straight back push, guys.
Disconnected and the back antenna is removed.
Is it going to do the after start checklist or no? What are we waiting for exactly?
Left and right, those clear.
Alright, well, I'm not quite sure what happened with the checklist feature. That's fine. We'll manage without it. Full right, full left, full up, full down, rudder, full left, full right, and neutral. So we'll give it a skosh of power. Again, really heavy on the weight this time. Alright, well, I'm not sure exactly how, but the checklist came back, so that's always nice. We are runway entry procedure, shiny switches are configured. I quickly did the, we caught up with the checklist here, so everything is done. We are squawk mode Charlie. Gonna enter the runway, make the right turn, backtrack on Echo, take the full length, and take off. Oh, and by the way, the 321 uses EPR as its master value for engine settings. I haven't talked about that yet in videos. Maybe we'll talk about it in the cruise. A little bit different to N1. We do have an N1 reading here, but EPR differs because it's a measure of differential pressure. But I'll get into that maybe a little bit later. Maybe in another video, maybe in the cruise, since we have 3 hours to kill. Not quite sure yet. But yeah, we'll talk about that's definitely that's something we haven't quite seen before. We saw it briefly in the 747 when I did the little video on that one. Yeah, just I think Rolls-Royce uses it a little bit more. There's certain engine companies and certain manufacturers, depending on the engine variants on the aircraft, they'll use EPR over N1. A little bit. It has its advantages and its disadvantages. I said I wouldn't talk about it. There's a little bit about it, but yeah, we'll talk about it a little bit later. The before takeoff checklist.
Flight attendants, seats for takeoff, please. Before takeoff checklist, please. Brake temperature, checked. Brake fans, off. Engine mode selector, checked, normal. TARA, tilt above. Exterior lights, on. Sliding tables, stowed. Stowed. Checklist complete.
Yeah, we're not using de-ice or anti-icing equipment on the aircraft today, just because the temperature's above -5. Even through the clouds, I'm looking at the temperatures aloft. It only really gets below -5 at about 10, 11,000 feet. So we'll have a look at it on the departure, but I'm not too concerned about icing on this departure. So here we go. We're going to do another rolling takeoff, this time with everybody on board. And it's off to see Santa. Once again, my lineup skills less than ideal. Alright. Power's coming in.
Take off. Check.
Doing
Power
manual
set.
full power.
Knots. Checked. B1. Rotate.
Oh, that was cutting it close.
Positive rate. Gear up, gear up. Navigation. Check.
That really was cutting it close. Now my speed's getting a little low. I'm gonna pitch down a little bit. Holy cow.
Gear is up, lights off.
So you can see this atrocious climb right here due to the fact that we're so heavily loaded. Our landing weight's going to be quite high as well. And here comes the turn. Flying this manually just because the weather's a little bit, it's a little less bumpy. As soon as it starts to get bumpy, I'm going to scare myself and probably put the autopilot on. Okay. A little bit less of a bank angle. But yeah, the climb rate is really sluggish on the 321 when she's fully loaded. A little bit more on the turn. Speed's okay. Once climb thrust, I'll give it to in a second.
Climb thrust.
There we go. A little bit right of course, adjusting to the left. And yeah, I'm gonna kick on the autopilot just because a little bit hard to manage all of this, and we'll get the after departure checklist going.
Autopilot is going on.
TrackIR off. Okay.
Flaps 1. Flaps 1.
Aircraft is going to pitch itself over a little bit. We'll start to accelerate.
Flap 0. And the after takeoff checklist, please. Engine mode selector checked, normal. Spoilers.
Oh yeah. Whoop.
Set. Flaps checked, retracted. Landing gear, gear up, lights off. Exterior lights. Set off. Packs, both on. Anti-ice, off. TCAS, checked. Altimeter. Standard. Checklist complete. Transition altitude. Baro reference, set and cross-checked. Check.
London, how you doing? Skyways 820 Bravo, flight level 70, Pole Hill 2 X-ray out of Leeds.
Skyways 820 Bravo, set squawk 0561.
0561 in the squawk. Skyways 820 Bravo. Sorry, London Skyways 820 Bravo. Confirm the squawk code 0561.
Affirm.
That is set, Skyways 820 Bravo.
820 Bravo, climb flight level 250.
Climb flight level 250, Skyways 820 Bravo.
EZ94 to Hotel P7, flight level 100.
Flight level 100, EZ94.
Guys, 820 Bravo, leave my airspace from North East, Unicom 122.8.
Over to Unicom, thanks for the short ATC, Skyways 820 Bravo. Take care, we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Alright, back to Unicom. That was nice. A little bit of ATC. Always fun in my videos. So yeah, these cloud layers, I mean, we're going to be with this, again, I forgot the weather radar. Damn it. If only there was some sort of a checklist that, that you know, us pilots could follow before before taking off so that we would remember these things. Too bad aviation doesn't have that. I am, of course, kidding, and also slightly incompetent, but it's just a hobby. And I don't need a weather radar to tell me it's going to be bumpy for the foreseeable future. So now that we're back on Unicom, we had an altitude restriction of 250. We can go ahead and reset that to our cruise altitude, which is 37. Go ahead and put it in managed mode, have it climb all the way up. We do have a nice 55 knot tailwind, so that's going to help us on our way. We will zoom out a little bit on the LLND. And hopefully, as we get above these clouds, everything will smooth out, and we can release the passengers. They can walk around a little bit.